A long time ago, a great beast rose from the sea at the prompting of the moon. This creature was a giant flying sea creature that with its great size spewed a poisonous fog. The poisonous fog made it near impossible to travel the world. Planes were grounded, the sea was corrupt and poisonous, and new dangerous and magical beasts were birthed from the fog. Humanity was forced into feudal lifestyles, with kings and kingdoms. Technology began to regress from gunpowder to bow and arrow to clubs and torches, and with humanity on the brink of extinction and plagued with paranoia, all hope seemed lost. In their darkest hour, however, King Griffith felled a Jotun, a giant elephant-like creature, and drank the cranial fluid from this beast. Griffith was then imbued with knowledge of magic, and as Prometheus gave fire to man, Griffith gave his fellow humans the power to fight back and raised entire armies of spell swords with which to drive back the wicked creatures of the fog. This birthed the first age of magic. During this time, the moon began to leak liquid moonlight to Earth. This moonlight caused the great beast that birthed this dark age to take refuge and rest in the depths of the earth. This liquid moonlight was used to forge powerful magic weapons for warriors, and was bottled and used by witches and spell swords to enhance their magic powers with power derived from the moon as well. The flora and fauna were also affected by the moonlight. Moon petals were a new flower that bloomed with the waxing of the moon, and snails that were exposed to moonlight grew to the size of a large dog. An ancient king used bestial communion, a spell that allows man to communicate with beasts, to enact a demonic pact for the infliction of vampirism. This unnamed king then harbored the ability to inflict vampirism within his castle, Le Fanu, until it was sealed away for unknown reasons. Vampires, while hated by the rest of the world, could find refuge in the magical kingdom of Lyria. Lyria was the kingdom that embraced magic and moonlight most deeply, with one of magic's most famed weapons, a great sword named the Moonlight, having been housed here in a premier school of magic itself. Ophelia was a skilled knight in service to Lyria, who defended the magical kingdom and surrounding territories like Castle Le Fanu, where her lover, Queen Justina, resided. Queen Justina's castle was constantly onset by the creatures of the fog. After investigating her castle, Justina found the great secret her ancestors harbored and indulged in vampirism herself in an effort to abate the fog beasts. This succeeded in repelling the sieges on Le Fanu, and when Ophelia was made aware of the affliction of vampirism, committed herself to an eternity in her love's embrace, with the boons and caveats that come with vampirism, and guarding the kingdom of Lyria forever. The lattermost commitment wouldn't be one she'd have to devote herself to for long. At this point, the great beast, dormant under the earth, started to stir. Calamus Cerulean of Lyria caught wind of this and accelerated the moonfall by further heating the fog that coated the earth to melt the moon. The cascading liquid moonlight lulled the great beast back to sleep and completely drowned and destroyed Lyria and gave birth to the moon beasts. After this followed a brief second age of magic that was plagued with a series of corrupt rulers and mages, further harboring a sense of distrust in the public. When someone wicked was cast out, they were punished by being thrown into the great hole left behind by the moonfall, sending these corrupt magic users back to Lyria. Some notable members who were thrown into the well at this time included Sotiris, a witch king who had ruled even before the moonfall in a kingdom beset with plenty, but only for him. Sotiris let his subjects starve away in poverty while he exclaimed, "Let them eat the rats," to his knights. His knights, who were more loyal to their kingdom than their king, maimed their king by removing his eyes so he may never look out of the well again, and removed one of his arms so he may never climb from the well. They then sent him back to Lyria and expelled him to the depths of the well. Sotiris's only nourishment in the well were the rats he had proclaimed his subjects to eat. He would starve but never die, until finally he would use the very last of his magic to turn himself to stone. In the deepest reaches of the well, it's said that rats still worship a crumbling, weathered statue of him. Abdul was another magic user. this time a wizard afflicted with the old double-sided coin of madness and genius, leaning towards the madness side. Talented and mad as he was, Abdul invented the art of lithomancy, a magic which gave life to the inanimate. However, all of the objects that were thrust into consciousness from nothingness like this could do nothing but scream until they were destroyed. It's likely that Abdul's interest in magic started leaning towards the cruelty side, leading to his exile, as a temple he later heads proclaims, "To hunger is to live, to consume is to die," and this same temple has a ritualistic blade coated with poison meant to make its victims suffer to death. After this brief second age of magic, mankind built the Great Well over the hole in the ground that was the epicenter for the moonfall. Here they would cast out all their unwanted, warranted and otherwise. In conjunction with this act, 3 of the great remaining kingdoms formed a trust to banish most magic, and together forming a new rule, the Golden Lance, over the runes of Lyria. The Golden Lance was comprised of magic-hating and skilled warriors, and with this they banned the magic that was being used to oppress people and cause ruinous destruction like the magic that led to Lyria's destruction. The castle of La Fanu had birthed a new descendant, a vampire born of the mothers Ophelia and Justina, named Krillal. Krillal was the acting ruler of Castle La Fanu after his mothers began their 1,000-year rest at the time of the Golden Lance's rise to power, and with great foresight used some magics to transport the kingdom of La Fanu deep into the Great Well. During the Golden Lance's rule, archaic assassinations rose to prevalence. Poisons, daggers, and claws became a common tool to push agendas and kingdoms' rules. One assassin, perhaps the most skilled assassin of her time, was known for always getting her mark. Successful assassination after successful assassination led to her having great renown. She was also wise, however, and she realized that with talent came a target on her back, and that there was always a bigger fish. This assassin took a mark deep within the well, where she would never be able to return to the world of assassins, whether or not she completed the assassination. Once in the well, this assassin settled down and decided that instead of murdering people, she would scrounge from the already plentiful dead in the well and make a name for herself as a merchant. Another talented magic user, Etna, was cast down to the Great Well as an orphan child who was banished to the well when their orphanage became too full, a common practice in this dark age. This child, however, was different, as they were adept in both magic and alchemy, and with the power of both, they astral projected to the world above. However, seeing what the world above had to offer, they returned back to the well to find their body now dead and rotted. They had freedom, but were now a ghost. With this, they decided to help others who fell down into the well with their great powers of alchemy. In another place, a young and powerful witch, known as the Great Fire Witch Ashley, used her powerful magic to engulf an entire kingdom in flames. Whether by her own admonishment and guilt, or having been exiled, she made her way to the Great Well, where she would study and develop many powerful fire magics and pyromancies. The Golden Lance would rule for several generations until it was found that they harbored and practiced forbidden magics. The outrage sparked a long civil war, eventually dissolving their rule and sparking the Crusades. What was left of the Golden Lance sought refuge in the Great Well, which they'd cursed so many to reside in. They all had different goals and outcomes while fleeing to the depths of the well, but they all met their damnation. Sir Jeff and David sought the frivolous magic lithomancy and met their unspecified end because of this. Sir Hicket was a man of no particular renown. He was neither strong nor particularly talented, but he had been given an armor that was impenetrable and won many conflicts by simply withstanding his enemies' blows until they tired themselves out and he'd make short work of them. Sir Hicket's mission was to travel to the Boiling Grotto and slay cursed knight Suxarius. His mission was a failure, however, when he ran into the Great Fire Witch Ashley, who cooked him alive inside his suit of armor. His armor now stands alone with his charred corpse inside, both as a testament to his immovableness and Ashley's pyromancy skill. The remaining members of the army of the Golden Lance stayed hunkered down until the end of the Crusades. The Crusades were a great cleansing and witch hunt into the Great Well to stop any fears of an uprising from the Golden Lance, the undead, the criminals, the madmen, and the powerful witches and warriors cast down into the well. The Crusades were headed by the remaining nearby armies of man and the Holy Church. The Church had banned many more magics, but a few in the name of the Crusades were still allowed to be used to match the power of the opposition. Armies marched into the Great Well to cleanse any aforementioned opposition, both real and imagined, from the well. A sect of the Holy Church, known as the Holy Monks, wanted to contribute to the Crusades but rarely left their monastery, so committed to summoning a demon with the plans to kill it and collect whatever demonic relic it dropped and donate it to the frontline warriors or the church at large. When they summoned this demon, however, it was not a great and terrible thing, but instead an infant. They harbored this infant demon until the end of the Crusades, in which it was revealed what they had done, and they too were cast into the well, where they had used their holy magic to create a haven near the top named Wing's Rest. The Crusades culminated in much destruction and death, and all exits to the well were sealed and guarded to prevent any further escapes. During this time, Castle Le Fanu was uncovered in a great sanguine sea and was onset by armies of man, but under the crown of Krillal, who had turned his subjects to vampires, they were able to handily fend off any attacks. One last army they might not have been expecting, however, was the final army of the Golden Lance, who besieged the great Castle Le Fanu. This final attempt at greatness by the Golden Lance was perhaps their final and most ultimate evil. They slaughtered many servants and residents of Le Fanu, but were ultimately no match for vampiric inhabitants, so they used a magic beyond holy and demonic to transmute and fuse themselves into abominations capable of contesting the residents of Castle Le Fanu. This succeeded, and the remaining court of Castle Le Fanu sealed off the ballroom from the horrors within. The castle now is hunkered down in a state of decay and ruin as the remaining inhabitants try and protect what is left of their liege in his tiny kingdom. The Crusades then concluded with mixed results, but ultimately a major blow to the culture and society maintained in the well by those cast out from above. The well is now a shell of itself, for better or worse. Abdul the Mad Wizard rose to prominence as a cultic leader in the Temple of Silence, where he promoted escaping the well through enlightenment. Their magic allowed their minds to escape their bodies, but not in the way they likely intended, as their brains carved their way to birth from their head through the front of their skulls. Many members then traveled to the Forbidden Archives, a library of books collected from above that were thrown below, in pursuit of further knowledge and enlightenment. Wing's Rest is still a safe haven for those banished to the well, and is watched over by the monks' second greatest work, Demi, the demon child they raised, Etna, the legendary alchemist, and Cheryl, the unstoppable assassin. The monks' magic still works to this day, guarding those who seek refuge in Wing's Rest. And that's all there is to say about this game's lore as it stands. The game is still in early access, and there's unexpanded lore right now, like the miscellaneous races and kingdoms, like the Anbu, who are uniquely talented embalmers, or the Elfin Kingdom, who are skilled craftsmen. I look forward to covering this game in its entirety once it's fully released. Akuma Kira is an incredibly talented game developer and a storyteller, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. A lot of work went into this one, and I always love telling you guys a story, especially on a game that's as good as this one. If you guys enjoyed, please consider subscribing. There's a new video uploaded every Monday, and thanks for watching this lore video, guys. Later!